Hey StarCraft League of Man fans, welcome back. Look, today we're going to talk about PvP and incursions and arenas, all those things. But real quick, I gotta give it a shout out. Look, this is yesterday's video. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But there's an overwhelming response from all of you, and I can only say thank you. Y'all seem to really enjoy this type of content. So I want to say I'm going to do more of this and actually opening the floor for any of you out there who want to be a part of it or make suggestions, which again, this is the greatest place to use the comment section if there ever was one. So if you are one of those, well, I'll need you to drop it down below. But more than just that, here's what I want. If you have ideas for these interview episodes, because my goal is to show play styles from varying styles, various points in the game, whether you're spender, free to play, been here a year, been here 6 years, and I want to know what y'all would like to see. One thing I really learned from yesterday's video is everybody seemed to learn something. If you took the time to listen to all of it, and part 2 is coming next week, took the time to listen to all of it, you probably learned something, as well as got to experience the game. And more than anything, all three of us, vastly different play styles in this video, all having fun. And hopefully that's what we help everybody else do. So let's go ahead and talk PvP today, incursions, go through those, but talk about, well, everything. Anyway, let's just roll it.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo!
So PvP in the last couple of months has changed a lot. Actually, I'd say the last several months has changed a lot. Now, before anybody tries to quote me or misquote me, I know we're in the political season, hence why I'm wearing my Grandpa Buff and Franklin shirt, and some of you will know who that is and some of you won't. And if you do, comment below and I will heart every one of those messages if you recognize this. But I don't think that PvP is where it should be, right? I'm not arguing that PvP is balanced. I'm not arguing that PvP is perfect. But what I am saying is over the past year, we have seen, specifically the past couple months, a movement to try to make it better. There is a semblance, I'm using air quotes if you can't see me, a semblance of balance when it comes to, the officers that have been coming out, right? Like an ability to counter each other. There is a semblance of balance with PvP arenas, even though it has a long way to go before I think the matchmaking is great, right? Again, don't quote me as like, oh, Rev says PvP is fixed, but I am saying it's clear that feedback is being listened to, big point, and 2, they're trying to make things better in that area. Now, plenty of areas to make things better. I know some of you are tired of getting excited about incremental changes. That's completely fine, but had a good conversation with a couple of people from Scopely this morning about this, and I think that we can continue to push for that as we're looking at making the game better, and PvP arenas cannot be a reason to, forget about other forms like incursions, because I know that is, again, a lot of people like that. For those curious in terms of the numbers, I told y'all that about 30% of players participated in PvP arenas the first time it came around. Well, that number was improved the second time around, going up about another 10%. About 40% of players who could qualify to play played arenas. So you saw even more people wanting to participate, and no, not a perfect system, but you do see the interest there to PvP, which brings us back to incursions. So the dates, again, October 31st to November 2nd, with the exact times going to be released here soon on Discord. But here are the overall pairings, which I know is a big deal for a lot of you. And, while this might be sloppy content, as in just, hey, I'm reading from a screen, it is important for y'all to know, and you'll see my server 710 folks, sadly, y'all, not getting a incursion. But I also predicted that we get a merge before incursion, but with 709 getting thrown in, we might end up having a very low player count incursion on 710. So here are your matchups across EU, US, etc. With APAC, of course, rounding us out, and 188 going 201, 193, 199, 187, 195. And we definitely got to get our APAC brothers some more, and sisters some more diversity, because they end up facing the same people all the time. So here are your dates for incursions. But I talked about wanting feedback from y'all, and I appreciate it. But I think incursions needs to not get forgotten. And if PvP arenas is a step forward in PvP, then incursions kind of being status quo is the exact opposite. It needs to get updated. A lot of the problems that players bring up with these need to be addressed. And this is in a way, a call out to Scopely where, hey, you want to give us PvP arenas? Well, incursions needs to be better. And also, on the note of this, War Room was supposed to be an every 2-week thing, and now War Room is kind of really tapered off, where it pairs with incursions to an extent. This goes back to the consistently inconsistent nature of STFC. We need to see that be consistent. I know a lot of you are here just to get these numbers, to see who you're facing, and that's completely fine. But I I think it's an opportunity to really advocate for better improvement to incursions. One big thing has always been scoring. The emphasis on a rating mechanic, which to a degree is fine, but still problematic when it comes to, is this giving a fair representation of activity and stuff like that? Because not that I'm trying to be a hater to any high level players. I had a great high level in yesterday's video. I mean, Istio's very kind, but let's just say Istio dropped his shield and somehow got cracked. Well, he's going to throw it for his entire server. I mean, if Istio, the big high spinner that was on, drops even for an hour and gets rated, well, all of Incursions is dead. There's no point in anybody doing it except for the solo leaderboards. Then you would lose all incentive. And I'm not saying that that is not incentive for some players. It is. But if we're really trying to make things that are fun, one thing that we will be tracking is how active are players in Incursions versus PvP arenas. Because if you want to make arenas better, which is clearly something they're working on now, Incursions has to rise with it, or else it simply becomes the worst PvP event versus the options that we have. And then we're talking about disawaying with it, which I know plenty of you would do. Don't worry. I haven't forgot about the players who don't like Incursions, which brings me back to other Incursions feedback points, which is giving them an incentive to want to participate and making it valuable for people who aren't PvP people. The good thing about arenas is if you're a pure PvE player, guess what? You can skip it. The one thing I've never denied about Incursions, you can't really skip it. Like, it's there. You have to kind of skip the game for that day or simply deal with the looming threat of somebody like Rev coming by and slapping you so they can score on their SLB, right? There are ways to make the events better. And I know I'm being kind of general right now, which I know Scopely dislikes, but I do want this to be an open forum. I'm trying to reignite the conversation about Incursions so that it's not just Rev showing off his beautiful Vorcha. We actually are going through and saying, okay, PvP arenas. For example, you want to get more PvE players involved? Well, the drip rate of improving the war room has been abysmal to the point that a lot of people are not really noticing the bonuses that could be had because of how low their building might be. And there are researches, things that maybe can lower this cost and allow you to get more. But the truth is you need to be more liberal with your sourcing of goodies. That's the answer to a lot of these problems that Scopely has, especially with players in the 30s and 20s and even the 40s where they want more players to move up. You kind of got to give a little bit more. And the drawback is you're not getting a ton from the war room, as you can see inactive right now. You're not getting a ton of it at a lower tier. You're not really going through the research progression. And Incursions isn't doing much to actually help incentivize growth because the event store that comes with Incursions also could use a facelift. Now, we have a lot of things in here now. As you see, we have the regular store, we have the Apex store, we have the Saris Invasion. So we'll see the new store, or the old store for Incursions come out. And there is that loot XO that we talk about being very valuable. And I'm not saying it's not, but you've got to really work through this. Incursions as a whole has not gotten a facelift in quite some time. And I get it. You want people to level up. How do I know that? Because you keep selling packs like this, but there has to be a way to do that without leveling up. And that comes to some of your mechanics that you're releasing regularly that need updating. Incursions needs better rewards, better scoring. All these things need to happen. And I know this is a video that maybe not everybody likes to listen to just Rev rant, and I apologize for that. But if we want the game to be better, then we have to make it better. Sorry to be the bad guy. They're probably not going to do it themselves. It takes feedback, whether it's content creators, VIPs, regular players like you and me. That's what it takes. Shout out to all the people who take the time to do that and still believe in it. But if you really want to put their feet to the fire, you have to actually make the fire. So here's Rev with some matches. To remind y'all, whatever your opinion is on something like Incursions, give it. Don't just hold it in. Yell it from the rooftops. That's all I got. Hopefully you got the information you need today in terms of Incursions matchups. And hopefully you believe in my cries for number 2 things. Number 1, that new series we're starting here for videos. Really want to embrace that. And number 2, making events better, including Incursions. So, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Live long and plunder. See you on stream tonight, and we will relay more information. If there's anything to, I don't know, whatever.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.